Solana went down this week, David. I don't know if you noticed. I know you're on the Solana chain a lot.
All the time.
It was down for 5 hours, and that is the first time it's been down in almost a year. Almost made it to a year without incident, but it fell over. Tell me a little bit about that.
So we don't have the complete post-mortem yet, but there was a tweet from Matthew Siegel, who kind of gave his autopsy. I'm sure the formal audit, this formal like situation report will say something similar to this. He says the BPF loader, the Berkeley packet filter, which is the mechanism to deploy, upgrade, and execute programs on Solana, which we would call smart contracts on Ethereum, failed. This seemed to relate to a previous SMID Solana improvement proposal that altered some of the features, including adding a blocker to stop metadata from being used in the BPF because it was no longer needed. Some technical stuff. Basically, I would say the culprit of this is that Solana changes a lot. And as it's changing a lot, that can always introduce new bugs to any software. That's just the nature of software. And this recent upgrade to one of the things that makes Solana run implemented a bug, and that caused downtime. And so this is what happens when you have a single client system and you have a lot of updates going into that single client system.
What do you mean by single client system?
Single client system. There is one version of the software that runs, and if that version of the software has a bug, then the whole system has a bug. And this is in contrast to a multi-client software, multi-client system like Ethereum, which has 5 different clients, where if one of those clients has a bug, the other clients don't care, and then they keep on going. Unless, of course, that client is a majority bug, like majority client like Geth, and it has 80-something% dominance, down to like 75, I think, right now. Anyway, over 66% is a problem. And if Geth had a bug, then that would be the bug of Ethereum because of the dominance. But if a minority client had a bug, then the other clients are just totally fine. Solana has one client. It's the Solana core client. They're working on their second Fire Dancer, which is it's basically the proof of stake equivalent and significance of Solana. Like, they're going to become super fast, super cheap. It's going to be the second client of Solana. But then there's also nuance there because they want the Fire Dancer client to actually just replace the current client. And then
because the other one will be a lot slower, right? Compared to Fire Dancer.
Yeah, by comparison. Yeah. Anyways, Solana went down for 5 hours. They made a patch to the client, and then that client was released just an hour later after it went down. But then it took a number of hours for all the validators to, there's like this kind of like process to restarting Solana. Like all the client validators need to like sync up with each other. I don't know. So it was down for 5 hours.
Yeah. So the last time it was down prior to this was February 25th, 2023.
Yeah,
and then,
almost a year. A year.
And then before that, 2022 was pretty spotty with I don't know,
there was like 6 or 7 or
six
something.
or 7 outages. You can kind of see them. And when we say down, it means like no transaction activity, like completely down. It just like fell over completely. And so, what is the process for restarting Solana, David? Like, what does that look like when Solana goes down?
There's a link in the show notes to check out Matthew Siegel's tweets. He can kind of explain the details of it at a technical capacity. I want to skip to the very last tweet in the tweet thread. And he talks about the second order effects of what happens when a chain goes down. He goes, once restarted, there will be a flurry of DeFi activity as arbitrage bots, seek to take advantage of all the arbitrages that have materialized, because when Solana goes down, the world goes on, markets continue, and Solana is, as a state machine, is not updating to the state of the world. And so he said that some estimates there might be as high as $25 million in MEV. Really hard to measure this in like real time. But as soon as the Solana blockchain gets started again, like there are stale prices that need to get updated. There's people that needs to be liquidated. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that happens. And this is one of the concerns of having a system that has poor liveness, is that when it restarts again, whenever it goes down and it restarts again, there's just this massive fight for all of that arbitrage. And this is generally not a desirable property of a system.
Yeah, it's also generally not a desirable property, of course, for a blockchain to go down in the first place, particularly when it's kind of like a layer 1 blockchain. Ethereum had an event not quite like this because of its multi-client architecture, but was it with the Prism client? Oh my God, that was like...
it was with the Prism client. Yeah, you're talking about the non-finality event?
Yes.
Right.
How would that have compared to something like this from your recollection?
Right. Okay. So the non-finality event was that blocks were being propagated around Ethereum. The blockchain was operating as normally from a user perspective. All transactions were going through, but they just weren't They weren't being finalized because less than 66% of the chain was finalizing. And finalizing is just like economic security. So it's like the first line of defense in the Ethereum system before an actual outage. So one client of Ethereum went down, and that brought down more than a third of the network. And so because of Ethereum's multi-client design, because Ethereum is larger than any one client, the rest of the clients are fine. It's just not finalizing, as in there is risk of reorgs if further catastrophe happened. So it's kind of like you get to take 2 bullets rather than 1. So in that time of Ethereum where there was like a non-finality event that I think lasted like half a day, maybe less, Ethereum took like a bullet, but it had body armor. But like then for a moment, that body armor was gone. And so if it took another bullet, then we would have like a real big issue.
Yeah, like a castle with multiple walls, and the first wall was kind of breached, right?
Exactly, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was really interesting. So first of all, something that didn't happen was the price of Sol didn't tank. So the market kind of like shrugged this off.
Yeah, it went down like 2 or 3%, which I would consider not reacting.
And I didn't see much of this conversation on crypto Twitter because I just wasn't going out and looking for it. I'm sure there was some grave dancing by some. I'm sure there was others who, from like maybe the Solana tribe.
I think everyone kept it pretty tame, I would say.
Really?
I think like overall it was a tame thing.
Okay. Well,
yeah. So there was definitely some grave dancers, but like, how can there not be?
Yeah. Well, this is not grave dancing.
Wasn't me.
You should preface this. This is just a simple prediction. Yes. I recall, David, that one of your January 4th, 2024 predictions of this year, number 5 was Solana goes down. So I just wanted to say congrats on that.
Thank you.
I mean, your prediction, you called it. And Solana's move fast and break things. And so they're moving fast and things are breaking. And this is David Mihal saying, honestly, I thought this prediction was unrealistic. Enjoy your W, David. So there you go.
Thanks, David. To continue leveling up your crypto game, then you need to get on the Bankless newsletter. It's the world's most popular crypto email and is completely free. Just click below to sign up.